Happy Sabbath?
Happy Sabbath.
I was like dying for a recording mic. God knows why. He's like, they don't want me to get too crazy. And I was like, I gotta keep him in check. But God is good, right?
Amen.
I can finally say Merry Christmas. It finally hit you, right? I was just like, when I was sitting down, I was like, wait a minute, we can finally say Merry Christmas, right? That's awesome. It hit me. I can't even believe like 2018 is over, and it's been a crazy ride, and I can't define. Usually I'm really good, and I've talked over this with Jared and Martin, and I'm really good at defining my years and my semesters and say, okay, this semester was like this semester was like that, but this one I can't name it, I can't put my finger on it. I'm just like, okay, it was God's semester, I guess. I guess He's working, He's doing something. That's all I can say. But it's been a blessing. We're almost done, and now we're going to study His Word. Is that all right? Can I open my Bible today? Is that all right? All right? Let's pray. Dear Father in heaven, I pray, Father, that you help us, Father, as we are concluding this year. And Father, now as we study your Word, may you open our hearts. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. All right, so I'm going to read a story that we've probably read over and over, and I've heard it here about maybe 3 times. But I'm going to take my crack at it. All right, so let's go to Mark chapter 5. Mark chapter 5 is the story of the possessed men of Gadarene. And in Mark chapter 5, it only represents 1. Now, in our semester and the way that we are doing things, right, we tend to say, look, especially at the end of the semester, we're like, Lord, please help. Right? We're like, Lord, please do something, right? But something happens that in this region in particular of Gadarene, in this region here, there were some people that could not live their normal lives. They were almost restrained by these 2 men. Well, Matthew says it was 2, but Mark says it was 1. Interestingly enough, that Mark says 1 and Matthew says 2, and it's not so much that the Bible is contradicting itself. It could have been that there was 2, but 1 was more prominent than the other, right? There were 2 men that were demon possessed, but there was 1 that was really, really bad, right? But in this instance here, in Mark, I guess Mark just kind of emphasizes this 1 character, this 1 demon possessed person. Now let's go to Mark chapter 5, verse 1. And it says, and they came to the other side of the sea, to the country of the Gadarenes. And when he, Jesus, right, came out of the boat, immediately there met him out of the tombs a man that with an unclean spirit. Now picture this scene for a minute. That it says out of the tombs, and when we usually read the word tombs, or we usually come to mind as a cemetery with nice cut grass and there's engraving. But this is not the case in the case of the Gadarenes. I want you to pick a really rocky limestone area where there was a lot of natural caves made. And so what happens is that these natural caves were formed. And what happened in those days, the people that couldn't afford burials, like proper burials, they would get the dead people and they would stick them in these caves. And these limestones, and they were uneven cut, they were not nicely made. In other words, this was a region, and they were there, mountainous region, rocky area there, that was really dangerous, really sharp, and it was full of caves, right? And it says, and it continues saying that, in verse 3 it says, who had dwelling among the tombs, and one could not bind him, not even with chains. Now, picture this for a second. The people that were living there, I want you to picture for a second the people that were living in that area, and specifically in that region. They couldn't pass through there. They couldn't go through there. There was these 2 demon-possessed, or this 1 demon-possessed, that was there in the cave. He was there, and he was causing havoc. And it says that they binded him. They chained him to the point that they chained him where they couldn't bound him. He would break free. And in that breaking of free, and he was the one in chains, it almost seemed like the people around were the ones that were tied up. They couldn't enjoy it. It was a nice area. Think of those of us who come from, like, for example, Michigan or close to the coast, or here in an island that we are here. What is the most desired property? It's beachfront, right? It's water where you have a view, where you have a nice view. Now think of this this region there, where the people that are there, they wanted to enjoy this area. It was a beautiful area. It was there on the Sea of Galilee there, right in front there, and they just couldn't enjoy it. Now, they continue saying, because he was often bound with shackles and chains, and the chains had been pulled apart by him, and the shackles broken in pieces, neither could anyone take him or tame him. And always, night and day, he was in the mountains and in the tombs, crying out and cutting himself with the stones. When he saw Jesus from afar, now here we are, and Jesus comes close. He comes ashore. And now keep in mind that before this scene and before this event here, that Jesus is coming from sailing in an event where everybody was going crazy, and Jesus was just there, just waiting for them to wake him up. And he calms the sea, and he said, and he just so passively calms the sea, and he says, "Peace be still." And as he's saying, "Peace be still," the sea and the winds calm. And the disciples say one thing: who is this man? Who is this guy that even the winds and the seas listen to him? After that scene, I can already imagine that the disciples are coming there, and I want you to picture the disciples' attitude for a second, coming down with all the confidence in the world, coming down to that shore, right? They're coming down with all that confidence in the world, and they're coming down, and they're saying, "Whoa, this guy just calmed the sea. We just come from preaching. We're doing good things, right?" And their self-confidence and hanging out with Jesus and the guy, right, was high. Everything was in check. See what I'm saying? I couldn't get too crazy. Everything was in check for it to happen, right? And then they start walking in, and it says in verse 6, and when he saw Jesus from afar, he ran out and worshipped him. Okay, what did this demon-possessed person do? Worship. In other words, who was in control at this moment of this demon-possessed man? Who was in control? The demons. The demons saw Jesus. The demons recognized Jesus. They ran to him, and worshipped him, and they cried out with a loud voice, saying, What have you? What I have to do with you, Jesus, Son of the Most High? I implore you by God that you not torment me. Listen there, the demon-possessed man is there, and he runs to Jesus, and his thought process of all of this is saying, look, he is coming. Jesus is coming, and he's coming to torment me. This warped idea that when we remove Jesus from our lives, when we remove Jesus from our inner circle, something happens that when we come to Jesus, we think he's coming to torment. We think he's coming to take something away. We think that he's there, and what he's going to do is going to cause me to be unhappy. And here he comes, and this warped up idea of this thought, and he runs to Jesus, and yes, he worships. Do you worship? The demon does. But he doesn't recognize. And he says, Jesus, you are coming to torment. Now let's see Jesus' attitude. Let's see if this is correct. Verse 8 says, For he said unto him, Come out of the man, what? Unclean spirit. And then he says, look, then he asked him, What is your name? Now, up to this point, is Jesus being a tormentor, or he's being a really nice guy to the demon? What is Jesus? He's being really nice, right? Yeah. So far, there's no tormenting going on. So far, there's nothing bad where Jesus, you can say, "Whoa, hey, Jesus, you're not being too nice to this guy." He says, "Look, just come out of him. Come out of this man." And then maybe in the scene there where the guy is foaming from the mouth, he's all over the place, he's there. He asks him, "Look, what is your name?" Now the question is, did Jesus know his name? Yes or no? Yeah. Does Jesus know your name? Yes or no? Amen. Right? Jesus asked him his name, but why did he ask him his name? And the answer, there's only one answer. And the answer is for the benefit of those around him, especially his disciples. Why? With this intention in mind. Verse 9 says, and he asked them, what is your name? And he answered, saying, my name is Legion, for we are many. Now, I actually, sometimes it's a good idea that when you're reading the Bible, you look up certain things. So I recommend that when you're reading your Bible, you don't understand something, just look it up, just Google it, right? Use Google for good reasons, right? When you win, and for a legion, I have it in my notes here. For a legion is 6,000 footmen. It's an army. It's 6,000 footmen and 700 horsemen. That's an entire legion, a Roman legion. And the demon says, look, our name is Legion, for we are many. And this guy was possessed. Right? That's an understatement. This guy was extremely under the control of Satan and his demons. And he was there. Now in Matthew chapter 8, put your finger in Mark chapter 5. We're going to come right back. But there's a detail I want to bring out here as far as this demon-possessed man. And in Matthew chapter 20, Matthew chapter 8, verse 28. Matthew 8, verse 28. Look what this I want us to get the image in our head. Verse 28, and when he came to the other side of the country of the Gardenses, right? There he met two demon-possessed men coming out of the tombs, exceedingly fierce, so that no one could pass that way. He cried out loud, what have we to do with you, Jesus, Son of the God? Have you come down here to torment us before the time? Now, in this section, I want you to get that image in your mind of these men, in particular this one man. And in the Desire of Ages says that these men said they look more like wild beasts than like men. In other words, they were so deformed, they were cut. And in here the word says it's fierce. That they were there and that was fierce. And now get this image in your mind. That God is there. The people are there. The people can enjoy the region. Nobody could pass through there. This guy is foaming at the mouth. This guy is all over the place. He's cut. He's bruised. He's chained up. He looks more like a beast than a wild man. And there he is. And Jesus comes to him. And if we were to look at that guy, we were to say, this guy has no hope. This guy has absolutely no hope. And there are some of you that when I walk around campus, I'm like, Jesus, if this guy had hope, that guy has hope. I gotta be honest. I can only be me. Okay, but some of us here have hope today. Amen? We have hope. If this guy had hope, who looked more like a beast than a wild man, you have hope too. And Jesus comes home. Now let's go back to Mark. Let's go back to Mark. Verse 10. He also begged him earnestly that he would not send him out of the country. Now a large herd of chicken. What does your Bible say? Swine. Verse 11. And a large herd, I got you right. It's not chicken, it's swine. Was feeding there near in the mountains. So the demons begged him. What did the demons do? No, you guys aren't listening. What did the demons do? You know what the actual word there is in the Greek? That the demons prayed to him. What did the demon do? What did this legion do? They prayed to Jesus, and look what happens. This is where it gets good. They begged him, saying, send us to the swine, that we may enter them. And at once Jesus gave them, what was it? Permission. Guys, if Jesus answers a prayer of a demon, do you think he can answer your prayer? I didn't hear that. If Jesus can answer the prayer of a demon, can he answer your prayer? Are you guys praying this finishing of the semester? Yes or no? I'm praying. I'm praying like, Lord, I need to save my son. All my marbles are in the finals right now. Mercy. And if Jesus can answer the prayer of a demon, he can answer your prayer. Amen. He can answer your prayer. And he gave him permission. Now, I want to be clear that there's a difference between what God causes and what God allows. Right? There's certain things that God causes, but not everything that God allows is because he ordained it. But because there are steps that we take, and now we're trying to save our semester where we could have organized ourselves better. We could have actually taken some time to study. We could have gone off on Netflix and actually studied. And maybe had some time to study his word as well. And now we're coming at the end of the semester and we're telling God, God, please help me save my semester. But you were watching Netflix all week long. All semester long. And you can name all the series that you watched, but you can't name what you studied in class. And what you came here to do. And now we're saying, God, please help us. But look, the hope is, and that's where I'm putting my hope, is that it's saying, look, Jesus answered the prayer of a demon. And he can answer our prayer. So there's still hope. There's still hope. But we can't take this stuff for granted. And you see, the point of Jesus' mission was not just simply to cure somebody for the sake of curing somebody. Right? Where if somebody is removed, a demon-possessed person is removed, or you cure the sickness, or you're going through other things, Jesus can cure that, and he does it. But it's not for the simple sake of just curing you. It's that he wants you, by curing you, to recognize that you need him. Because you can get sick all over again. This guy can get possessed all over again. But Jesus wants us to recognize who we're dealing with. Verse 14 says, So those who fed the swine fled, and they told it to the city and the country, and they went out to see what it was that happened. And they came to Jesus, and they saw the one who had been demon-possessed and had a legion, sitting clothed. What was he doing? Clothed. Sitting and what? Clothed. I didn't hear that. Sitting and what? Clothed. And in his right mind. I want to say something here. A Christian can be in his right mind. Amen. A Christian can be in his right mind. Why we're living in an era where being a Jesus lover or a Christian is almost a bad word. Say, oh, you're crazy. I don't got time for